This is officially our new fire training tower from Fire Facilities, and it's got some gas props in it from Simtech. This tower is a little over 8,000 square feet. It's 30 feet wide and 70 feet long and about 60 feet tall. Which puts us at about 6 stories. It's a tower that's really designed for multiple uses. It has multiple burn rooms in it. We can do multiple search drills in it. We can do live fire drills in it using propane. We can also do lots of live fire stuff using Class A combustibles. It has its own smoke generation system, so we can instantly put smoke in the building and simulate a lot of stuff that firefighters will come in contact with when they come out in the field. So what these are right here, these are just panels. They're removable panels that simulate different walls. So when firefighters come into a structure, they don't know the layout of the room. So there'll be lots of smoke in here, and they'll have to do search drills in here. And these panels are removable so that we can change the pattern up for them to confuse firefighters to make them train in that kind of environment. These are more of these things here. Some have doors, and all these panels we can maneuver around, and it's basically like a maze. We can create a firefighter maze. So what we'll do is put a victim, a simulated victim somewhere in here. Firefighters will enter the structure and either do a right or left-handed search. And while they're doing that, they'll be looking for that victim the entire time. So every time we do an evolution, we can change the configuration of the maze so that firefighters don't get comfortable, it actually creates a real true emergency where they're entering a structure that they don't know. So what we have here is an enclosed ladder. This enclosed ladder we typically see in industrial settings, whether it's going up the side of a tank or up the side of a building. And there are occasions where workers fall in their arrest harnesses and get hung up on these kind of ladders. So what this prop is designed to do is to simulate that a worker gets trapped in one of these. So you can imagine firefighters have to either climb up to the victim or they have to rappel down to the victim to be able to rescue them out of this. I'm up here on the 3rd floor of the tower, and this prop here is one of our gas props that's designed to simulate a grill fire on a balcony. Typically we run lots of different types of fires throughout the city when we deal with apartments, and a lot of times the barbecue grill or some kind of smoker sitting on a deck on an upper balcony is what we contend with, and this simulates that. So there's lots of different things that the firefighters can be challenged with this. We can light this prop off, and either they can use an aerial device to park out front to make fire attack here, or they can actually come up the stairwells with hose lines and actually make an advance on a fire like a simulated deck fire would be. So this is one of multiple burn rooms that we have, and this is a burn room that's designed to do Class A combustibles, which is wood, paper, straw. We can set a pretty substantial fire in here, and what this would simulate is either an apartment or a bedroom being on fire. So the firefighters could advance either up the stairs or through the hallways with their hose lines and make a fire attack in this building. And what you'll see on the ceilings are what we call thermocouplings. And those thermocouplings allow the instructors to see how hot we're getting the temperatures inside of this structure. One, so we don't hurt firefighters, and two, we can kind of get an idea of how hot it actually gets in one of these structures. So this is our attic simulator. A lot of times when we have fires in whether it's a house fire or some kind of commercial structure, we do get fire that's trapped in attic spaces. And this is just a confined space that would typically be underneath your roof. This provides a real life scenario for firefighters to actually make entry into the attic and try to determine where it's at. So this box here that you see, we can actually set Class A combustible fires, wood, paper, straw in here, and a simulated attic fire. So they'll actually have to make entry into this room and find where the seat of the fire is and extinguish it. What we have here is one of 3 confined space props that we have on this building. We can set our tripods up over this space right here and actually rescue a victim out of the lower floor. It can also be simulated for firefighter down scenarios as well. So sometimes our firefighters come in contact where they might be in a situation where they fall into a basement from an upper floor, and we have to go in there and they either have to self-rescue or be rescued by another firefighter. So we can simulate a couple different options with this prop right here. Now if you look down in here, you can see the next floor below it. What we have here is what we call a vertical roof simulator. So many times firefighters have to go on top of a roof to ventilate the structure. And what we mean by that is a lot of fire and smoke get trapped in that attic space. We may have to cut a hole in the roof to be able to let all that smoke and heat out. One, it makes it safer for the firefighters entering the structure to do searches, and two, it also makes it safer for maybe any potential victims that may be trapped in there by letting that heat and smoke out of it. But this here allows our firefighters to get up here on a ladder and actually operate a chainsaw at height and cut a true ventilation hole. These are anchors that are pre-built into the structure itself. They have a 10,000 pound rating, and that 10,000 pound rating allows us to do all of our rope rescue operations on this tower. So we can do multiple scenarios where we may be rescuing a victim from a lower floor or just setting up systems to practice. So all these anchors are pre-built and ready to go, and it saves the firefighters a little bit of time. When we talk about instruction, we can actually set something up pretty quick because an anchor is already established. What we have here is what we call a standpipe, and you'll find this in hotels or any kind of high-rise building. It's pre-piped waterways that allow firefighters to access the water supply on various different floors throughout a building. And what that allows us to do, instead of stretching all the way from the ground up, it allows us to make entry on the fire floor below the fire, connect our hoses to these standpipes, and then advance them up the stairwells to make an attack on the fire. And that's what you see right here is the stairwell. The stairwell gives us real world practical scenarios that we can advance hose lines up these stairs in the event that we do have a high-rise fire. So the height of this tower is 60 feet, which gives us roughly 6 stories. So firefighters will be able to stretch hose lines all the way up six flights of stairs if they need to. And that's just another way for us to practice some of our high-rise training. So what we have here is a hatch that goes to the roof, and we find this in a lot of our high-rise buildings too. At the top of a lot of stairwells or even above the HVAC systems and stuff, we find hatches like this that makes access to the roof. This wouldn't be for the general public, but it is useful for the firefighters. We may use this opening as a ventilation hole to let heat and smoke out of a high-rise building, or it may be able so we can make access to the roof to maybe effect a rescue off the top of the building. This is another one of our confined space simulators in this building. We can lift the manhole up in this. So this would be typical in a street where we have a manhole cover, or maybe simulating the top of a tank that we need to make entry into to effect a rescue. What you can see in front of you are different anchor points. We can lift the lid off of this thing and it drops down a couple stories where we can do a long rescue that may simulate a confined space in an industrial setting. All right, so we're on top of the tower. This is the very top level of our 60-foot tower. This pole here is just kind of designed to help us build anchors. When we talk about technical rescue and building anchors, this would be one of the things that we would actually anchor to. You can also see anchor points in the floor. You can see our confined space simulator. And there's different things that we can do from a rope rescue aspect from the top of this floor. They can actually go over the side of the rails and practice a lot of the skills that they do, but it puts them at height, which is actually a realistic scenario for a lot of our rope rescue. What we're on right now is our second floor balcony that basically simulates a hotel or some sort of outside balcony at height. So this might be a simulation where firefighters pull up, they see a fire in one of these rooms, residential rooms, and actually either have to ladder the side of the building and move hose lines up to this space to be able to make an attack on the interior fire.
We're just on the second floor, just inside of our railing and our deck system that you come up on the landing. And this is one of our first burn rooms up on the second floor. This is on the residential side of the burn building, and this is more set up as, say, a residential highway where you have different rooms and stuff coming off the highway. This will help us with hose line deployments, actually negotiating turns around corners, and having access to different points versus our old drill tower, which was just an open space. So as we come down this hallway here, out of one burn room, we have a hallway, and we see another one of our burn room doors here. Right, so we have another burn room here, which has a window access. We could also have someone come in here and do vent inner search and look for victims. Say if this was we could make this look like a bedroom. Also, we have one of our burn boxes here that we'd actually build our Class A fires in, which helps us with cleanup. And we can position that in different places in the room to get different effects from the fire. This room is our Denver prop room. So an incident happened where a firefighter died in Denver, had a very narrow hallway to try to get him out of a very narrow window. And this room is set up to resemble that hallway and that window access. So we'll practice and train our firefighters to make rescues out of this narrow space. So this is another one of sort of our attic spaces with a sloped ceiling, so we can have do search and rescue drills in here. This is also the opposite side of where our vent prop is. Just nothing really else going on in this room, just a good searchable space that we can put up some different obstacles to have the firefighter overcome, especially with the different slope ceiling. It's sort of just a little bit of a different feel here. This is our smoke distribution system for our tower side of the building. You'll see different numbers on each port. So depending on what area we're working with, we can smoke that area up or we can smoke the whole tower up. As you see over here to my right, has number 3. So I can activate number 3 and I have smoke come out of that port to fill this area full of smoke. Most times that we go into fires, you can't see your hand in front of your face. So to train that for especially new firefighters in a safe environment, we can fill the room with fake smoke, right? And have them go in and look for victims, and we can use our sound system in the building to have dogs barking, babies crying, someone coughing, someone just lost and disoriented, to add that stress level to get to more of a realistic feeling. Also, you can see that we have a car or SUV car prop that we can set on fire. Also, there's a rollover prop up at the top of the ceiling. We can blow liquefied petroleum gas across the ceiling and light it on fire to get that rollover effect during training. It also has a vent fan to circulate some air and temperature probes and a window access also.
This will not only raise our level of the amount of training that we can do in this building, but it also prepares firefighters better for the future. So when we go out, typically what this tower replaces is we used to get acquired structures, old houses that were abandoned that we could burn in to simulate fires. And with that comes a lot of resources that have to be done, and honestly, it's a little bit more dangerous. It takes a lot of instructors to be able to do that. With this tower here and all the different burn props that are in it, it increases our safety of the firefighters and the instructors that are operating in this environment. And we can give our firefighters real life scenarios and stuff that they're going to actually come in contact with.